You ever see someone get slammed onto a car hood so hard the world just stops? No sirens, no warning, just one officer's hand and a face that didn't deserve to bleed. That was the moment Eastwood lost whatever illusion it had of being a fair town. It happened on a Thursday, heat radiating off the courthouse parking lot like the air itself was angry. Marilyn Dorsey stepped out of her silver sedan, calm, composed, wearing navy slacks and the kind of oversized sunglasses that weren't for fashion. They were armor. She was headed into the courthouse for what looked like a routine hearing. Nothing flashy, no press, just her a leather folder and a quiet dignity. She barely made it 6 steps before Officer Brantley Haynes stepped in front of her like a brick wall. "Ma'am," he said, flat and sharp hand already twitching toward his radio. "Step back to your vehicle. No explanation, no greeting, just suspicion and something uglier simmering under his sunglasses." Marilyn paused, tilted her head calm as still water. "Is there a problem, officer?" He didn't answer, just snapped. "You match a description. Step back." People started slowing down, watching. One guy across the lot lifted his phone. You could hear the soft click of a camera app coming alive. And then, he grabbed her wrist. She didn't yank away, didn't scream. But before anyone could process it, he had her face slammed against the hood of her own car, the metal scorching from the sun. "Stop resisting," he barked. She wasn't. Everyone could see that. But no one stepped in. Not even the middle-aged man in a blue polo who muttered, "Hey, that's too much," before shrinking back when Haynes turned his glare on him. The man looked down, jaw-clenched hands balled into fists at his side, then slowly stepped back, shame crawling across his face. Marilyn's sunglasses had fallen. Her cheekbone was pressed to the oil-stained metal. Her eyes stared forward, unblinking, steady, not angry, not scared, just deeply disappointed. In that moment, she wasn't a victim. She was a witness to the rot everyone else refused to see. They threw her in the squad car, cuffs cutting into her wrists. The folder she was holding lay forgotten on the pavement like a broken promise. The cruiser smelled like old sweat and stale air. She sat still, perfectly still, like moving might break something even more important than her body. At that same time across town, a journalist named Devin Trask scrolled through social media alerts over cold coffee. He'd covered city council meetings and pothole complaints for years until that video showed up. 30 seconds of silent rage wrapped in pixels, a black woman being brutalized while half the town stood silent. Devin didn't know her yet. But something about her stillness, about the way she didn't beg, unsettled him. He typed her name into an old database. Nothing. But then he remembered something. A lecture at Howard. A legal aid program that never took credit. Quiet lawsuits that ended in major wins, always filed by someone else, always funded anonymously. Her name never in the headlines, but always in the margins. Marilyn Dorsey wasn't just some woman. She was the architect behind the National Justice Initiative, a covert powerhouse that had dismantled more than one police union cover-up, a ghost in court filings, a donor in disguise, and now she was the one bleeding on a car hood. Haynes didn't know who he'd touched. Not yet. 3 days later, Marilyn sat in a quiet studio across from a journalist. The bruises hadn't fully bloomed yet, but the message had. "Why speak up now?" the host asked softly. Marilyn didn't blink. Her voice was low but certain. "Because this time," she said, "the violence didn't stop at my skin. It reached everything I built to protect others." And somewhere in the back row of viewers, one of the people who had filmed her suffering that day rewound the clip, watched again, and this time saw themselves in the reflection on the car hood holding a phone doing nothing. That guilt. It doesn't make a sound, but it sticks. So when Officer Haynes returned to work the next morning, the precinct was colder than usual. His buddies didn't joke. His captain wouldn't meet his eyes. And a rookie young guy, barely 2 months on the force, stood near the lockers, arms crossed, staring. "You didn't have to slam her," the rookie said quietly. Haynes turned, sneering. "You weren't there." The rookie didn't flinch. "I saw the tape." And then he walked out, slow, deliberate, like he'd just walked away from something contagious. That was the first crack, but not the last. 3 days. That's all it took for the quiet to turn into thunder. The video had crossed 1 million views, then 5, then 10. It wasn't just a trending topic anymore. It was the story. Headlines screamed it on morning news. Protesters gathered outside Eastwood PD. And the mayor, usually silent, issued a statement about reviewing the conduct of Officer Brantley Haynes pending further investigation. But Marilyn didn't wait for reviews. She filed a federal lawsuit, not just against the department, but the state, the union, the oversight board. Every brick in the wall that let men like Haynes use their badge as a weapon. The day of the court hearing, the air felt heavy, like the sky knew something had to break. Inside the courtroom, cameras lined the back. Protesters filled the gallery, some still holding signs, others sitting with eyes locked forward. Near the aisle sat the man in the blue polo, the one who had backed down that day. He looked different now, paler. He clutched his phone in his hand but didn't raise it. He didn't need to. He was here. Marilyn entered last, no lawyer flanking her, no entourage, just her, wearing the same navy blue, as if to say, "You didn't break me." She walked past Haynes without looking at him, but he looked. His face was tight, jaw locked, hands clenched. But behind his eyes, something flickered. Not fear, not quite regret, something messier. The judge called the room to order. The prosecutor played the video. No sound, just that one brutal moment over and over. The slam, the stillness, her cheek on the metal. Marilyn took the stand. The room leaned in. "If this can happen to me," she said, her voice steady after 20 years of building legal infrastructure, after testifying for Congress, after creating protections meant to keep people like me safe. What does that mean for the girls who don't have credentials, for the women who don't have networks, for the mothers who can't afford to press charges? Every word sliced through the air. But it was Haynes's reaction that cut deepest. At first he scoffed, rolled his eyes, shifted in his seat. But then she mentioned his name. She turned to him. "I don't hate you," she said quietly. Silence. "I expected you." That broke something. Haynes looked down, first time he had all day. His knuckles had gone white. He tried to breathe slow but failed. His lawyer whispered something to him. He didn't respond. And then came the turning point. A witness, a retired sergeant, was called. His name was Kevin Langston. He walked slowly to the stand in uniform, but with the posture of a man carrying ghosts. He'd been Haynes's training partner. "I want to be clear," Kevin said. "I saw this coming years ago." Gasps, murmurs. "I filed complaints. I warned the department. I was told to keep quiet, to be loyal. I wasn't." He turned to Marilyn. "And for that, I'm sorry." She nodded once. Not forgiveness, not anger, just acknowledgement. Then the judge spoke, and the gavel felt louder than thunder. "Officer Brantley Haynes, you were given authority trusted to uphold the Constitution. Instead, you weaponized it. This court sentences you to 18 years in federal prison. No parole." Haynes didn't react. Not at first. But as the handcuffs clicked on something cracked, he muttered, "I was just doing my job. I was just..." No one answered him. No one needed to. Because when he turned to the gallery, not one face looked back. Not even the officers who once called him brother. His eyes searched wild, desperate for something. Just one person on his side. But all he saw was truth. And truth doesn't flinch. Later, outside the courthouse, Marilyn stood beneath the same oak tree from years ago. She held in her hand the old folded drawing Amani had given her, two women holding candles. Beside her was a small girl, maybe 10, watching silently. "Is it over?" the girl asked. Marilyn didn't answer right away. Her gaze drifted toward the courthouse steps, then back to the girl. "No," she finally said. But something started. As the crowd began to disperse, some in cheers, some in quiet tears, one woman remained frozen. It was the white woman who had once recorded the assault and said nothing. Her lips trembled. She walked toward Marilyn, then stopped short. "I didn't do anything," she whispered. "I'm sorry." Marilyn looked at her, not with rage, not even disappointment, just a calm stillness. "I know," she said. And then she turned away, not because she didn't care, but because sometimes justice is moving forward even when others are still figuring out how to follow. What do you think? Was that justice? Or just the beginning? Comment below. Let's talk about it. And if you believe stories like Marilyn's need to be heard, like, subscribe, and share this video. Let's keep these voices alive. Let's keep truth in the light.